one, and you're live, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the meeting of the Council on Thursday, the 11th of December 2025. My name is Councillor Kevin Lagan, and I'm the Chairman of the Council. Members, we are streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting, you're giving consent to being recorded. During each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak, and remember to turn your microphones off when you've finished. Please could I ask members to avoid approaching the top table, as it could create interference with the cameras and live stream. Please note that the U2 live stream sound recording is dependent on the correct use of the microphones. Please reference a page or paragraph when referring to the agenda papers and keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible. We don't have any fire alarm testing planned tonight, so if there is a fire alarm, we exit the chamber from either of the two exit points, and we muster on the grass outside the police station, please. Before I go any further, Councillor Durham has approached the chair and the chamber to address the chamber. Councillor Durham.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Just a very quick statement. Chairman, at the Council meeting in July, I advised members that the leader had not shared all relevant LGR data, which, although was factually correct, was possibly rather more forcefully delivered than entirely necessary. And I was also accused of using my mobile phone during my discourse, but in fact that was to confirm what I was saying was actually correct with another district leader. I accept fully that some members may feel that I was disrespectful and may have caused offence, and for this I formally offer those concerned my apologies. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Durham, thank you very much indeed. That's very kind of you. Clerk, may I have the apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies have been received from Councillor Burwood, Councillor Neal and Councillor White. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Nick Spenceley,
Councillor Swindle sends her apologies.
Councillor Swindle sends her apology. Councillor Siddle.
Councillor Bassinger is delayed, but he is on his way.
Okay, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. Members, we move to agenda item 3. This is the minutes of the Council from the 25th of September 2025, and it's recommended that the minutes of the Council held on that date, found on pages 5 to 10, are approved as a true and accurate record. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pratt, thank you. Members, any comments on the accuracy of the minutes? Can we agree those by assent?
Agreed.
Thank you very much indeed. We move to agenda item 4, which is a declaration of interest, and this is to disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests relating to items of business on the agenda having regard to paragraph 9 and appendix B of the Code of Conduct for members. Members, we are reminded that we must also disclose any such interest if we become aware throughout the meeting. Members, do we have any interests to declare? Thank you. Councillor Butterell.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Just on agenda item 12, with the North Essex local growth priorities, I have been working with Gwyn Owen from Essex County Council and others as part of the Maldon District Tourism Group 225. So just to declare,
that. That's very kind of you, Councillor Burrow-Cook. Thank you very much indeed. Public questions. Do we have any public questions, Tara?
No, Chairman, we don't have any public questions tonight.
Thank you very much indeed. We move on to agenda item 6, which is the Chairman's announcements. The first announcement is a very sad one. I'd like to reach out to Councillor Laybourne on behalf of all councillors and all members on the recent loss of your son. Our condolences are with you and our heartfelt love is sent to you. The second one is we attended the Day of Dedication. Members up at Maldon Cemetery, which was a fantastically organised and well-run event by our officers. Yesterday it was a staff awards. That was a superb event and acknowledged the hard work that peers give to each other, which was really enjoyed by the people that come there. The third one is this old chairman's getting his trainers on again. So I'm doing the David Randall Fun Run on Sunday. So if anybody wants to click on the link and support this local charity, it's not a marathon. My body doesn't take that anymore, unfortunately, but it's a fantastic event and any contribution will be gratefully welcome. We've also got a member training group has arranged training on the 8th and 28th of January with an external trainer. So please, can you attend those or either one of those meetings if you are available? And the last one is for me, it's again, I'm suspending the rule 438, the need to stand up when addressing the chair. It's optional as always, members. So thank you very much indeed. Councillor Stamp, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Do we know, members know who gets these awards, these staffing awards? Does it go on one of the communication things?
Yeah, I think.
And are we allowed to nominate somebody? Because I know I would nominate somebody who sees us through thick and thin here, and I don't know who got it, but one would hope that Miss Bird received something because of under all the difficulties we've had with losing committee services members. I would hope that she was there. If you haven't, Tara, I'll put you forward for next year, love, if I can.
Chief Executive, do you want to just make a comment on how the process works? Because it's a very involved process. Thank you, Councillor Stamp, for your question.
Thank you, Councillor Stamp. Thank you, Chairman. And for the mechanics of how it works, I don't know the exact detail of that, so I can find that out and circulate that. And we can certainly circulate a list of the winners that were presented with certificates yesterday, of course, yeah. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah, there was 35 nominations made and they went to a nominations panel and the criteria to select those. But I can assure members that every single person who stepped up and every the housing group won the special award as well was thoroughly deserved, and there's the narrative through that by the nominees. So it's an interesting thing, and you're dead right, it should and will be shared. Thank you. So agenda item 7 is the minute book, and this is to consider any recommendations brought forward from committees as detailed on the agenda. And we move to 7A, which is Performance, Governance and Audit Committee on the 18th of September 2025, which is found on pages 11 to 16. And I call upon Councillor Wendy Stamp to present them. Councillor Stamp. Thank you. Councillor Stamp, sorry, Mike. Thank you.
That's nice for you all, wasn't it? You didn't hear me then for a while. I rise to ask for the recommendation, put the recommendation forward for the Performance, Governance and Audit Committee meeting held on the 18th of September 2025, found on pages 11 to 16. The recommendation, members, is to do with the Planning Appeals Protocol. We recommended from our committee that the Council endorses the revised and strengthened version of the Planning Appeals Protocol, which is attached in Appendix 1, which you've all had copies of, and adopts it for the inclusion of the Council's Constitution. I so move. Do I have a seconder, please?
Councillor Morgan, thank you.
Thank you. Do we vote?
Members, do we agree that by assent? Agreed. Agreed. Thank you, members. That's very kind. Thank you, Councillor Stamp. And we move on to 7B, which is the Strategy and Resources Committee from the 7th of October 2025, which is found on pages 17 and 18. And I call upon Councillor Driver, please, to present them. Councillor Driver.
Thank you, Chair. Members, I present to you the recommendation from the Strategy and Resources Committee of the 2nd of October 2025. The recommendation is that the overarching principles for discretionary fees and charges policies as detailed in Appendix A, which in the Pact is under agenda item 7B, be approved. I so move.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Durham, thank you. Members, do you agree with that by assent? Agreed. Councillor Barrell-Cook.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I just had to raise one point with on page 24 in relation to White Horse Lane parking.
It's just, I think that might be coming forward from Councillor Driver in a moment. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Barrell-Cook.
Thank you. So we move on then to the second item, which is actually a recommendation from the 20th of November 2025, the fees and charges schedule. And the recommendation is that, subject to review by the Finance Working Group, that the detailed fees and charges schedule for 26-27 as set out in Appendix A be agreed, subject to the Council approving the fees and charges policy. As requested at Strategy and Resources, this was reviewed by the Finance Working Group, and there were two elements that came out of that. Element 1, that all-day Sunday charges for Maldon Town Car Park charges apply, they apply after 4 hours instead of 3 hours. So the full daily rate had been charged after 3 hours on a Sunday, whereas during the week it was 4 hours. And the recommendation is that these were brought in line, so the full day charges would apply after 4 hours, both weekdays and on Sundays. That was the first element. And then following a discussion with Councillor Pratt by officers, that the following items are removed from the fees and charges schedule as they are not currently in use. That is the exclusive use of visitor pontoons for Maldon and Burnham, the daily charge associated with that, and the pontoon weekly winter charges, October to April, again relating to Maldon, and that these two be removed. But subject to those, the recommendation is that the fees and charges be a detailed fees and charges schedule for 26, 27 be accepted. Thank you.
Councillor Burrell-Cook.
Thank you, Chair. And sorry, the item that I wanted just to find clarity and also raise concern over is to do with the White Horse Lane parking charges. Whilst I appreciate the charges are higher for that car park than other car parks, looking at the signage around the whole of the car park structure, there is nothing to say that it's cheaper to park in alternative car parks. And I think that some of those matters, whilst I agree with the fees and charges schedule, should be referred back to the Task and Finish Car Park Working Group for looking at, along with other items of potential savings as well.
I think that can be done. I think what we're doing is we're agreeing what has been agreed, and that's something to take to further business. But all good points, Councillor Burrell-Cook. So we had the recommendation tabled. Can I call for a seconder for that? Councillor Stilts, thank you. Again, members, with that explanation from Councillor Driver, do we agree by assent? Agreed. Thank you very much. Tara, just to let you know that Councillor Bassinger arrived at 19:39. Thank you, and good evening, Councillor Bassinger.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies for being late. I'm afraid I got stuck behind the only bus coming from Latchington. So I should leave another half an hour at least before I get here. But, I do apologise.
Thank you. It says an awful lot, doesn't it, for transport. Meetings, agenda item 8, meetings of the council. We had significant numbers of meetings. I just propose that these are noted and agreed by assent, members. Agreed. Thank you. Question number 9, questions in accordance with Procedure Rule 6.3, of which notice have been given. Tara, have we had any questions raised?
No, Chairman, no questions.
That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. We move on to agenda item 10, which is the safeguarding policy, children, young people and adults. And this is found on your agenda packs on pages 33 to 74. And I believe Miss Green is going to present the report, assisted by Mr. Cowley. Thank you, Miss Green.
Thank you, Chairman. If that's okay, I'm going to hand straight over to my colleague, Mr. Cannon.
That's what you call delegation.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all. Yep, so those of you who don't know me, I'm Daniel Cannon. I'm the Head of Service for Community Safety and Customer Services. So I'll just give you a brief overview of the policy. So yes, to seek the Council approval for the updated safeguarding policy. This is a refined version of our old policy and includes recommendations from the recent draft audit as well. There's clarification on roles and responsibilities. There's been quite a lot of changes over the last 12 to 18 months, so just extra clarification on that. And it also strengthens our internal processes, clearing triaging steps and defining timescales for referrals. And also a separate approved statement for modern day slavery. Along with that, the main next steps really would be around staff and member training and awareness. We'd like to deliver some sessions in Q4 with Essex Police as our partners for that, and just the ongoing monitoring and review. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
No, thank you, Mr.
Taking
Cowley.
questions.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to put the recommendations, there's 2 recommendations, then I'm going to open up to the floor for any questions. Recommendation little 1 is that the updated safeguard policy Appendix A be adopted, and little 2, that the safeguarding lead provides an annual safeguarding report to the senior leadership team to support oversight and continuous improvement. Do I have a seconder? Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Jennings, thank you. Members, I open the floor. Councillor Stamp, thank you.
I just asked, I don't know the gentleman, the officer. Has he been introduced to us, and have you been here long? Because I didn't know. No, it's a serious question. Sorry, I didn't hear him. I was saying Cowley. I do apologise.
Mr. Cowley, please introduce yourself.
Cannon.
Cannon.
Yes.
Oh, well, I'll get the name wrong.
Yeah, I've been here a year. So yeah, just where have met before, Wendy? Thank you.
I do apologise, Chairman. I honestly didn't know.
No, well, I got the mispronouncing and the misspelling as well, so apologies there to you. Councillor Burrell-Cook.
Thank you, Chair. I just have a quick question. On page 48, hirers of council facilities, I just want to check the procedure of whether they are having to submit their own safeguarding policies, because it isn't very clear what the procedure is and if there is a procedure for them to upload those to make sure that they're compliant and then by us as well in our facilities. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have spoken to, I believe, Steve Butcher, and maybe Leander helped me on this as well, but there is a process in place for them to be able to do that. If they do not have their own safeguarding policy in place, they can adopt ours as well.
Yep, you're satisfied with that? Thank you. Any other members wish to speak? Councillor Driver, you've got your microphone on still. Thank you. Councillor Fluker, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. First of all, can I just pay tribute to Dave Travis, aka Dave Monk, who passed away in the last few days. He worked very closely with this council, particularly over the acquisition and the rolling out Stomar, this Great War Aerodrome, where he served with me as a trustee, and I'm sure that anybody that met him will miss him enormously. Chairman, with regards to the safeguarding policy, I'm sure I'm not the only member that spends a lot of time in their ward visiting schools and indeed calling upon vulnerable people in various nursing homes. Chairman, I don't think there's ever been a requirement for members to be DBS checked, and I really do think that should be visited. I've mentioned this before. The rules have changed slightly now. If you have a DBS check which is relevant to perhaps one function you're carrying out, then you need another for the other one. So there's an awful lot of people, I'm sure, in the chamber that are DBS checked, but if you're going somewhere on council business, you really ought to be DBS checked in relation to that. So perhaps, Chairman, that's something that you can pick up with the officers after the meeting. Yeah. Thank you.
Very good points. Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Fluker. Councillor Durham, please.
Councillor Fluker raises an excellent point, and it's one that I think has probably slipped through the net, because although things are slightly different at the county council, because all county councils are corporate parents, we have an enhanced DBS automatically done for every member. So I think it's something that this authority wouldn't necessarily need to be an enhanced check, as it's quite expensive, but just a standard DBS I think would be very good.
Yeah, no, fully agree. Thank you very much indeed for that. Councillor Siddle, please. Did you want to speak more? No. Oh, who did? No, yes. Councillor Stevens, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I completely agree that members are much more closely involved with the public than I think perhaps you might get from reading this. I'd go further as well. I think that all members who meet the public, in other words, all members who take on any sort of casework, should get the training. Now, I can see that there's a recommendation there that members are offered the training. It's probably too late for this one, but I think we should take it further. And I really do think that whole area needs to be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Morgan.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering, are there any records of any cases that come before our safeguarding team? Any statistics in that respect? And if so, where would they be published? And I mean, I'm aware that obviously with overall scrutiny, when it's sitting as the crime and disorder panel gets figures, but those are obviously those that actually reported to the police, which presumably not necessarily all abuse matters would be. I'm just wondering if we could get some sort of clarity as to where those figures can be found. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, happy to supply those figures for those who are interested. We do collect them centrally. Any of our designated safeguarding reporting officers put in a submission, and that is recorded, and then what actions are taken out of that. So I'm happy to compile that evidence.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any other member wish to speak? Councillor Stamp, thank you.
Thank you. Doesn't it go to PG&A? Don't we get reports on this to PG&A? Because we've waited a long time for this. So thank you, congratulations on doing it. So the first point is I think it goes to PG&A. I can't remember how often it comes. And the second one, is it a legal requirement that everybody needs to take the DBS check? Because if it is, then we have to do it. If it's, yeah, well, then that's fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think it's a legal requirement, but I think it's something that I would be very interested in undertaking. Anyway, Councillor Durham?
Yeah, the one group that visits nearly every property and is most likely to observe issues in respect of safeguarding are, of course, our sewage refuse collectors. I take it that they are duly trained for things to look out for when they're doing their collection rounds.
So all officers do have safeguarding training as part of their inductions, and there are different levels of safeguarding training that are given to different officers. Those are frontline staff and those that are dealing with more vulnerable victims as well.
I think Councillor Durham has raised a very, very pertinent point as well. They're contractors. So sewers are our principal contractor with regard to refuse collection. So just for surety, it would be good to double check what they do, because years ago I used to manage a refuse service for Braintree District Council, and you see an awful lot of things going around to different houses, some pleasant and some very unpleasant. Great points. So thank you very much indeed. So members, we've got a great policy. Congratulations. Ms Green, sorry.
Chairman, I can confirm that sewers do undertake training. Part of our recent audit required sewers to provide the evidence of the training record, so I absolutely can confirm that they do.
Right, that's reassurance for us all. So excellent, we have a top-rated policy in place. Members, we have the recommendations. They have been seconded. Do we agree those by assent? Agreed. Thank you very much indeed. Very, very important discussion. Agenda item 11, which is council tax base. This information can be found on your agenda papers on pages 75 to 82. Mr Jay, I believe, is going to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to present the report quickly to council, and I'm sure councillors will be familiar with similar reports in previous years. I know that there was a similar report on the council meeting from December 24. So last year's report, the recommendation is set out very clearly, I think, at section 2. We're setting the council tax base for the 26-27 year at 27,293 properties. And if councillors are curious as to the comparison with last year, that's set out in paragraph 3.8, and what we can see is an increase in the council tax base of 1.63%. So it's a good position, but this is largely a process issue, and it's an important part of the way in which we determine the council tax requirement for the coming year. So, Chair, happy to take questions as appropriate, but the report hopefully speaks for itself.
Yep, I'll put the recommendation forward and then I'll open up the chamber for questions. It's recommended that in accordance with the local authority's calculation of tax base regulations 2012, the amount calculated by Maldon District Council as its council tax base for the 2026-2027 year shall be set at 27,293. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Burrow-Cook, thank you. Members, any comments? It's more of a Councillor Morgan.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was just wondering through you that the one point officer could explain or just outline what differences, or if any, are the latest announcements of the mansion tax in the budget has on these calculations, and how that might colour things going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Jay.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the question. The simple answer is that we're waiting on the detail of the provisional settlement for local government for 26-27, which is likely to be published by government next week, which will give us some further detail on that. What I'm hearing is that the additional charges, the so-called mansion tax, is likely to be passported directly through to Treasury rather than being something that is retained locally. That's my understanding, but we're waiting for the confirmation of that detail in due course. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, Councillor Morgan. Any other members wish to speak? No, excellent. So we agree by assent. Agreed. Thank you, members. Thank you, Mr. Jay, for that. We move to agenda item 12, which is the North Essex local growth priorities, which is found on pages 83 to 156. I call on Councillor Siddle to present the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. The North Essex local growth priorities are a really important part of the work that this council has taken with our 9 partners in the north of the county. Tonight we're looking to approve those local growth priorities, which are detailed in the report. This has been developed over several years as part of North Essex Councils and the North Essex Economic Board, and myself and officers of the council have been actively involved in terms of developing these priorities, and that includes officers across the council in terms of developing these things. We've worked collaboratively in terms of this approach, and it's important to recognise that the reason why this report was brought forward is because of the mayoral elections and the combined authority being formed, and us making in the north of Essex wanting to ensure that these priorities were put to the mayor and to all the mayoral candidates. Obviously, there will be no mayoral candidates next year at this stage because of the decision of the government. However, it's important to remember that there will still be a combined authority formed, and we need to ensure that with that combined authority, and one of the priorities of the combined authority is economic growth, is having these plans. The south of Essex does not have this. Yeah, so we are way ahead of the south of Essex. So we really need to ensure that this goes forward to the combined authorities, because they will be getting money over the next 3 years to fund these plans. It won't be the same amount of funding. It will be a third of what they would have got if it had been a mayoral situation. So it's really important that we put these forward to the combined authority. These priorities are the big ticket items, which will then feed into, hopefully after they've been implemented, into other items in all of the other districts as well. If we can get things like the rapid transport implemented, that then lends itself to doing it in the Maldon district at a later stage. If we get the improvement in the terms of the railway in Clacton, that then lends itself to improving the Southminster line. So this is a stepping stone in terms of what might happen over the next 5 to 10 years. And it's really important that these things move forward. Essex partners are asking for the same things together. We will have far greater influence and impact than by that acting on our own. This does not mean that that all partners have compromised to agree a list, and it's important to recognise that not all priorities benefit partners equally. But we need to keep pushing for things like the expansion of the A12, things like the improvement of bus services and things like that. It gives us the opportunity to roll things out across the rest of the county. The North Essex growth priorities are agreed by officers, including chief execs, and they are now going forward to each partner's members sign off. And one of the things about the director of North Essex Council is he's worked really hard in terms of working with members, and also he's spent time with Council Borough Cook in terms of making sure that things like tourism in the district are going to be reflected in the report. I'll now hand over to Ms Cable, who will present the rest of the details.
Thank you. Ms Cable.
Thank you, Leader. Tara, are you happy to share the presentation, please?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you to the Leader for making my delivery of the report much easier, that introduction. Thank you, Tara. Next slide, please. So as the Leader referenced, the North Essex councils have been working on this with also the North Essex Economic Board. The 9 authorities that are involved in that are Braintree District Council, Chelmsford City Council, Colchester City Council, Epping Forest District Council, Essex County Council, Harlow District Council, ourselves as Maldon, Tendring District Council and Uttlesford District Council. As the Leader referenced, they are the shared long-term vision for North Essex, which is developed in collaboration. It will be a key tool for influencing the focus of the mayoralty, offering early visible wins, and for ensuring North Essex priorities are reflected in the mayoral combined authority strategy documents. It's a framework for guiding future collaboration across public and private sector, and it aligns local ambition with national priorities. The growth priorities are not a statutory document. They're not going to replace local plans. It's or be a detailed blueprint for every site or project, or a vehicle for direct engagement with government. Next slide, please, Tara. So as the Leader referred to, the priorities have been developed by officers from all partners working together, representing various areas such as economic growth, planning, climate, and many other key areas. When the MCCA is formed in spring, it would develop a suite of strategies and priorities that will shape economic growth and investment over the long term. It's critical we have clear collective priorities that we can feed into the MCCA and the Mayor when they're elected, and also the new shadow authorities as they're beginning to come together. Oh,
Sorry.
that's all right, Tara. I'm still on the same slide, so it's slide 3, Tara. Thank you, when you're ready.
Yeah.
No rush.
We have had this, haven't we, this pack?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good job I wasn't rude, wasn't it?
Is it? Yeah.
It's all right, Tara. You don't need to share the slides. I can just pop through it as
Okay,
members.
I got
Oh,
it.
perfect. Thank you very much.
Sorry, apologies.
That's all right.
There we go.
Thank you. So they are the initial set of asks, and there's so much more we want to achieve, but we can't ask for everything all at once. But it is important that not all priorities will benefit all partners equally at the same time, and each partner has had to make concessions. Next slide, please, Tara. By having a unified North Essex position, this strengthens the strategic case for these projects and increases the likelihood of securing support from transformative investments in the north of the county. With a joined up positive approach to identifying growth and investment opportunities, we're better placed to influence policy and secure funding. This work will ensure North Essex priorities are heard in early decision making on funding, spatial planning and infrastructure investment. Next slide, please, Tara. This slide just shows the key outputs of developing the document and then also what they'll feed into. Next slide, please, Tara. Thank you. So the main vision for the document is creating a more productive, better connected and more resilient North Essex where everyone can thrive. And that covers the area being more productive, more inclusive, better connected and more resilient. And those themes are detailed within the actual plan itself. Next slide, please, Tara. Thank you. And specifically the asks for this document, as this setting out the priorities to the mayoral candidates and the MCCA are listed here. And obviously if members would like any further details on the specifics of those projects, then they are welcome to ask questions and I'd be happy to answer them. Next slide, please, Tara. So as the leader said, we're now at the position of having partner sign off, and that's critical through member engagement through the whole council and also for each partner to agree on the priorities. The document will be designed into a polished branded document, not the Word document draft that I sent round. And then obviously it will begin, once adopted, to be used to promote the growth priorities to the MCCA and latterly the mayoral candidates. Thank you. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much indeed, Ms Cable. First and foremost, because we have a recommendation, again, I'll put the recommendation to the Chamber and then we'll have a debate on it. So the recommendation is that the North Essex local growth priorities in Appendix 1 be approved for the socio-economic benefit of the region and district. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Burrell-Cook, thank you. Members, I forgot Councillor Spenceley first of all. Councillor Paula Spenceley, please. And Councillor Nick Spencer, I think, but not together.
Thank you, Chair. So, I don't know, I may have mentioned this to some people before, but one of the things that I'm very passionate about and that featured very strongly in my career was a qualification called Access to Higher Education, known as Access to HE, which is specifically an adult qualification. And actually, people who aren't education specialists may not realise that when you're talking about FE, further education, within that adult education is a very specific thing, because FE usually applies to 16 plus or 18 plus, depending on how you look at it. So in Maldon, we had the centre, which is mentioned here on page 142. In Maldon, for example, there is no FE provision beyond a single adult community learning ACL centre, leaving residents with limited access to technical or vocational pathways. So partly what I'm going to say is a question and partly a comment. The technical and vocational pathways is all very well. What I learnt quite recently is that the two very excellent Access to HE courses that were held at this local centre over our library in Maldon are now no longer exist. I was a moderator for those courses. They were among the best that I saw offered on a national basis. And I have to tell you how extremely sad that makes me. They gave direct access for adults who hadn't succeeded at school the first time with a chance to turn their lives around. Access to HE is the equivalent of doing 3 A-levels. It gets people into university. And it will be in a lot of the time quite vocational, but not always. The courses here are around science and health professionals as well. So they'd go on to those. And anyone who had ever taken part in access to HE, what we used to call them FABs, final awards boards, would know that you'd see lives absolutely transformed. When I'm reading this, I'm seeing quite an emphasis on FE in the post-compulsory sense, not necessarily with regard to adult learning. And I'm going to ask this question of Leander as well, whether or not the focus is going to be purely on, because it sounds a bit like that, you know, employer-led. That's all very well, but we have to be aspirational for our adults living in the district, many of whom have not had access to this type of education before. And I just hope there will also be an emphasis specifically on adult learning as well as FE and technical provision, because access to HE is inspirational. It gives people a chance to do something different. And in this district, we have such poor access to that type of education that I hope that would be a focus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms Cable, any comments on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Councillor Spenceley. Without reading the statutory instrument for the MCCAs, I do believe that one of the core budgets that the Mayor will have devolved for them is the adult skills budget. So there will be a greater flexibility. Good, I got that right, good. So there will be greater opportunity and flexibility to deliver what's right in place rather than what's right nationally. And I would hope that we could make the case for that, because prior to working at Maldon, I'd worked in and around the skills arena for the 15 years, and I've always banged the drum about the lack of provision in the Maldon district once you finish compulsory education. So I would completely be behind that.
Thank you very much indeed. For completeness, I should, because adult community learning has been mentioned, I should make a declaration that my wife works for adult community learning above the library in Maldon. She has no bearing, but I think it's the right thing to do to declare that. Thank you. Councillor Burrell-Cook, please. You don't want to have a go?
Well, all I was gonna add was that I have worked with Gwyn Owen on the inclusion of elements of tourism as an addendum note to this draft policy that's being worked on at the moment. Basically, tourism, as we know, is so critical within Maldon District, employing up to around 18% in the wider community, and so it's critical. But tourism as a whole, as economic growth, is incredibly important. So the draft note has only been sent to me this evening. It's got to go to the leader and CEO as well for review, and then obviously it will come, I assume it will form part, but it is inclusive of a lot of elements of tourism and how important skills, education, as well as driving employment within the district and North Essex as well.
Thank you, Councillor Burrell-Cook. Councillor Nick Spenceley, please.
Thank you, Chair. A couple of comments. One of the takeaways from this for me is the worsening housing affordability ratios, which we all know about and which underpins our debates on housing. But, 10 years of a massive increase in housing locally, and we're now second most expensive after Epping. The other one is about connectivity. The paper describes North Essex as a gateway to London, Europe and the world, but it's kind of difficult getting to the corner shop in Maldon with our overstretched infrastructure. It's nice that there'll be a rapid transport link to Clacton and make it easier to see the in-laws. But was there any discussion? I think Maldon feels very neglected in this paper with regards to connectivity. Was there any discussion of the problems of Maldon?
Thank you. Ms Cable, thank you.
I can assure you robust representation was given by officers across the council, the leader and the chief executive. I can assure members of that we would not have sat quietly, but we have had all to make concessions with this, and we do acknowledge that not everybody will benefit from everything, but this is the start of the process. It's the start of a huge shift for Essex in a positive way, in my opinion.
Thank you.
I think Councillor Bassinger is attest to the problems with the transport in the district. We have Councillor Durham, please, and then Councillor Siddle.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Sort of on the back of what Councillor Barrell-Cook has said, and I've been making a lot of waves at the County Council over the last year or so. I should declare an interest that I chair Visit Essex and also a trustee of RCCE who've also been involved in this. I think that this is actually fatally flawed for the reasons that Councillor Barrell-Cook has mentioned. It has completely missed tourism and hospitality. Tourism is worth £3.5 billion to the Essex economy. It is the second largest business sector, second only to construction and retrofit, and it's streets ahead of some of the other sectors that are being concentrated on more. 11% of all jobs across Essex are in that sector, nearly 20 in places like Clacton, and as Councillor Barrell-Cook has said, 18% in this district. So I think it's a major omission, and I'm really very unhappy that it's being added as an afterthought. The other point that I've made is that the other sector completely missed out is the creative sector, and the creative sector is one of the government's 8 pillars of economic growth, and it's been completely missed out of this. So I'm really unhappy with this report. I would want to see the second version that Councillor Barrell-Cook has referred to, because I honestly think that it is missing the point and missing some very key elements for the sectors of business that are so crucial, particularly in this part of the world. Again, on the tourism back, we have 59 vineyards in Essex at the moment. Almost all of them are in the North Essex area. Nothing mentioned. And I honestly think that it's a let's go back and let's review it before I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Durham. Councillor Siddle.
So, do you want to do that, or would you like?
I'm happy to, and then the leader, if you've got a further comment. So completely acknowledging what you're saying, Councillor Durham, we know that 50% of the vineyards in Essex are in Maldon, and that's an amazing accolade to have. So I want to assure you this work with the North Essex is around the priorities in that particular area. However, there is wider work that is happening at with the Greater Essex Devolution around specifically. There is reference to tourism, heritage, culture, and acknowledging that across Essex, that is such a strong, growing sector. So whilst it's not in this particular document, it is very much one of the key themes of the devolution workshops that have been happening across Greater Essex.
Yeah, Councillor Durham.
Having it as an addendum, I'm sorry, is not good enough. It needs to be a pillar. It needs to be a pillar of this policy, and until that is the case, I'm unable to support it, I'm afraid. It is being treated, Chairman, as an afterthought. It's not right. It's not right.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. You're on the next, Councillor Siddle.
So the thing about this document is a starting point. There are lists and lists and lists and lists of industry. There's huge range of industry across the north of Essex. None of that is specifically identified. Gwyn Owen, the director of North Essex Council, has actually spent time making sure that we have got this part in there. This is not something which is going to be at this stage very specific about a load of industries all the way across the north of Essex. Harlow would want, has been involved. They're not identifying all the things that they need in terms of that area. So it's a starting point, and this document cannot go into industry specific information. The fact that we've incorporated tourism into it is as an addendum, is an addition to that. We haven't done that with other industries. And it has, so therefore it is reflecting the special needs of Maldon in terms of things that we do here. So yes, I can hear that. However, those things will come later, as Ms. Cable has said, in terms of how that combined authority is formed. It's the combined authority and Essex County Council have created a business board who are representing businesses across the whole of Essex. So those sorts of things will come out of additional work. And that's the important thing to remember.
I think with respect to Princess Alexandra Hospitals in Harlow, so I think they're getting plenty.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Apologies, I was seeking some advice because I'm picking up the mood of the chamber. Councillor Fittick, please.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, obviously it's a reasonable starting point, I think, as a strategy, but as Councillor Durham says, is that we need to make sure that we are looking at things from our perspective as much as we can, which I'm sure you are. There is just one point following on from Councillor Spenceley in terms of housing affordability. I sort of noting that they seem to be that think that building more houses is necessarily going to improve affordability, which it doesn't necessarily do so. I'd just like to point out that they're actually measuring the medium gross annual to residents work-based earnings, which isn't what the targets are based upon in the first place. Really what you should be focused on, if you're looking at affordability, would be the median house price to median ratio, in which case Maldon doesn't fare quite so well as 10.15, we actually average 12.38. So I think it's important, if they're going to reference things in terms of housing, they use the correct measurements to measure what they're measuring. Perhaps that could be passed on.
Ms. Cable?
Yeah, I'm sure we can speak to Gwyn and have a look at that data set and make it more reflective of what the true position is.
Just explain, residence-based earnings is really good for people, areas of high commuters.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Fittick. Next on the list, we have Councillor Stilts, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Page 101, I just want to ask something on that, which is on Appendix 1, on page 111, on it, or page 11 on Appendix 1. And at the bottom, you've got the number of homes at risk of coastal flooding, river and surface water flooding is rising. But nowhere in that sentence does it talk about Maldon District. So do we just take it that we're going to be underwater anyway and that's been accepted?
That's a fair point. I don't think we can really answer that as such at this moment in time, but it's a very, very, very fair point. Councillor Siddle Norman, please.
Thank you. I always stand up. It's habit. This isn't the first time this council has not realised that tourism is the most important, one of the most important things in this district. In 2002, the council at that time tried to take away £60,000 off the budget, which was put aside for tourism. At the next meeting, with Councillor Bass and Councillor many other councillors, with my intervision, decided to put it back on again because they suddenly realised that it is the most important thing in this district. From the point of view of our river, we've got the river, we've got oysters, we've got lots and lots and lots of things in this town that rely on the river and on tourism. And so I'm so grateful to people that have pointed it out, because we really have to make sure that it is high on our priorities. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Siddle Norman. Councillor Driver, please.
Thank you, Chair. I know the points that people have made about tourism, and I understand that, and actually I agree that actually it would be better to see this more clearly headlined, although I also understand that there is an element of compromise as far as this is concerned, and the leader said this is the start of a journey. And I'm just interested to know if this is the start of a journey, whether he could just sort of imagine where this journey is taking us, because actually it would be good to actually have some feeling for the way in which actually some of these important issues like tourism will start to be headlined more, even if at this stage it's not so evident.
Thank you. Councillor Siddle, thank you.
So, as I said, South Essex don't have anything like this at all. And this is the work that's been taking place over the last 18 months or so in terms of North Essex Council, in terms of chief execs, and in terms of the North Essex Economic Board. And the reason why this came forward sooner is because of the mayoral election next year. So the idea was that we get this approved by January so that we can then present that to the mayoral candidates so that they would then have this in terms of this is what we want as a starting point in terms of the Maldon district. The amount of money that the combined authority is going to get is only around 13 million. So in terms of implementing these things, it will need government funding to implement this stage. So what we've got to do, we've got to be ready to present this to the combined authority next May when that gets formed, so that they have the views in terms of that, the North Essex councils. This is a long-term thing. This is going to be 5, 6, 10 years that these happen, and we need to ensure that the money that's going to come from the government when the mayoral combined authority gets formed in 2028, that those things are in place. It now gives us more time. Yeah, so this is a starting point. So over the next 3 years, in terms of North Essex councils, when the unitaries get formed in 2027, whatever shape they are, this gives us more time to form those things and develop this further in more detail over those 3 years. If we say if we say we're not going to approve this tonight, we're saying that we don't want to be part of it. We're saying that. So no, I'm not. What we're trying to do is to say this is a starting point. These are we support what we're doing. We support the North Essex Economic Plan, so that can then be formalised and developed further.
Thank you very much indeed. So the next person who will speak is Councillor Stamp, please.
Yeah, thank you. Could I actually ask what concessions have been made at the expense of Maldon District? I think Leander said that concessions have been made. Looking at this, I totally agree with Councillor Durham, which is a surprise because he's not on my Christmas card list at the moment. But on a serious note, the Rapid Transport System RTS expansion. There's things here that, is this a list of priorities in order? Because I can't see anything on here where we're a priority. Just because we're little things are really important, believe me. I know that, yeah, and so do you. So the point I'm trying to make is that I can't see anything here for us. Councillor Burrell-Cook has done, I didn't even know you'd done all that work, but thank you, because I've got an issue in Burnham at the moment where we're not being supported, and we could lose a business there because nobody's putting it in the forefront and saying we need tourism, we need all these extra facilities, and we need people coming to our areas. And the last thing we want is one of our really good, we've already lost Bella's. Bella's has already closed. That was an excellent restaurant. That hasn't survived. That's got space now. It can't go, etc. So I actually would like you answer my question. What concessions have we made? Why have we not done more on the rapid transport system? Because it says we may get it. We need to be getting it. We should be at the top of this list for transport. That's the only way we're going to unlock our economy, which then unlocks what you've said about education. So then you can get the people going to the education, hopefully the education colleges or whatever they're going to build. And on the last point, when it says delivering skills for growth, on page 87, what skills are being targeted? What are the skills we are targeting for our businesses and our economy? Because unless you've got enough people going to attend these courses or write these courses, it's just words on a page. I do not see anything here at the moment that I think is beneficial to this district. Thank you.
Ms Cable has a couple of questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stamp. So in terms of the concession that we made, it was having reference to St Peter's. Officers very, very strongly, and the leader pushed for the inclusion of St Peter's and investment in that site to be included within this paper. However, these projects what are listed here already have, to some extent, or have previously had the backing of central government. So we're starting with the easy ask first, whereby there is the data, the intelligence, etc. in relation to that. And that's where we then begin to unlock further asks So get the quick wins in first, and then ask for the harder bits once we've had the delivery. Councillor Stamp, you mentioned about a business which is in, I'd be happy to have a separate conversation outside of the meeting with you to resolve that in my role of economic development. I'll try. And then the other question, sorry, forgive me, was around the rapid transport system. And then skills, yeah. So they're inherently connected. If people can't get somewhere to learn, they won't go there to learn. And I do completely understand that, as I referenced to Councillor Mr. Spentley's comment earlier. There is a table in the report on pages 86 to 87, which details the benefit to the district that would be potentially realised from the delivery of each of these projects. But I've actually got a more detailed table which was delivered during the member briefing with Gwyn and Leah, which they undertook a couple of weeks ago in the evening. So I'd be happy to share those additional slides which was circulated just really to bring into focus and pull out those areas in which Maldon will benefit from the delivery of the projects.
You can come back just one more time.
Can I come back?
Yep.
Well, I'd like the detail. What skills? What skills are we going to be trying to get a college or whatever here? What has been identified in the Maldon district that we need to enhance and grow our economics, our businesses? That's what I'm trying to ascertain. And I take your point. I said to Jeanette, this is all central government stuff. It's got nothing to do at this level, which is why I think we're all being disappointed, because we've seen all this before. There's nothing new here that when I was the leader, Niamh were talking about all this time ago was these things. There's nothing new happened over these years. Yeah.
Thank you.
So in relation to the skills, we'll obviously be paying close attention to and working with the Essex Chambers of Commerce, who are charged with delivering the local skills improvement plans. And that's working directly with employers and FE and HE providers to identify the skills deficits and skills growth opportunities. And that is a nationally sponsored and led programme by government. So we would be working in partnership with them to identify. Obviously, there will be specific skills deficits in specific areas that we would hope to target. For example, I would love a satellite FE provision in Maldon, whereby different providers could provide qualifications and courses for people. I know, but hopefully with the powers that the mayoral county combined authority will have, we will have more influence over, as I said, the adult education budget and further skills opportunities.
I think there's so many things that we just don't know. So thank you, Councillor Morgan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The leader is saying that this is a start, just a start. It reminds me of the story of the English tourist in Ireland who stops and asks the farmer the way to Tipperary. And the farmer thinks of it and says, if I was you, I wouldn't start from here. And this is really the same situation we've got here, which I find none of us, I think, are taking the view of members is against or indeed trying to say that this should not go ahead. We're just very disappointed in the way that it's being presented, and it's left out various matters, particularly as highlighted by Councillor Burrell-Cook in terms of tourism and other matters, and I frankly feel unable to support it in its present form. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll come to the vote in a minute. I'm just going to take Councillor Fittick, Councillor Councillor Paula Spenceley and Councillor Burrell-Cook, then I shall hand over to the CEO to conclude the debate. So, Councillor Fittick.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, yeah, I would certainly like more mention about Maldon, but I think we have to look at the report in the context of how it's presented. It's a growth plan for Essex, and when I forget the gentleman's name that introduced it, he was saying that what they've tried to do is identify the projects that will add the greatest level of gross value add to the district and the county and economy, and looking at the projects that had previously come forward or part way through. So I think all they've done to start it off with, to try to get the ball rolling, to present to them potentially, is look at the areas that will have the most benefit. So I don't disagree that tourism in Maldon is very important to Maldon, but in the context of the Essex economy, it's probably going to be relatively small. But I'm just saying, but they've tried to look at it in terms of the investment in capital investment they might want to make or get, and look at the value that way. So, I mean, he did seem to say that this was all based upon business cases they put forward. and they've worked out the financials, and these are the strongest projects come forward. So I don't really feel I'm in a position to question that, so I would support it on that basis.
Thank you. Councillor Paula Spenceley, please.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I mean, this is really difficult because I know that I can see very much that the officers have put a lot of hard work into this, and I think Leanne particularly. And I know from being on bodies outside the council how difficult it is quite a lot of the time to represent Maldon, because only last week Councillor Stamp will remember we were on a meeting where it was quite difficult for us to represent Maldon because we were constantly, yes, we did, but we were constantly dismissed. My point is, you know, we were level one, priority one, levelling up for a reason in this district. And what worries me about this a little is that I understand that growth priorities have been set, but the problem with that in developing it going forward is, will that continue to be the priority? Because there's not really enough about Maldon in here for me to be happy with it. I don't think that we should give a message that we're not interested in being part of this, but I do think that we somehow need to convey a message that we want more for Maldon and that this actually is not enough. And I can see that we're going to go down that road. That is not to dismiss the work of members or officers who've been involved in this. I'm just, like everybody else, a bit disappointed, and I'm concerned that the headings we've got will be the headings that get the detail, that will not take us forward. And that's a hard thing for me to say because I really want to support this tonight, but a little bit of me is saying I will regret it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Burrell-Cook.
Thank you, Chair. Other conversations that I've had with Gwyn reference directly into page 103 because there is, you know, we've got outstanding natural beauty, Mersey Island and things like that being mentioned. I have asked for the inclusion of the Saltmarsh Coast as part of that specifically for Maldon District. But I also should declare that I am on the advisory board for Visit Essex. I also sit on the Maldon and Heybridge Transport Bus Users Group, and we have directly fed back the two presentations that we presented to both passenger transport and the MPs to officers at Essex County Council to say and highlight the trouble with transport throughout the district, and they are going to take that to the MCCA and share those presentations. So, you know, from a bus user's perspective, that is also a high focus, but it's not referenced in here as well as part of transport. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Durham, the last one.
Yeah, thank you. It's just, look, I have had numerous meetings recently with Tom Walker, who's the interim chief executive of the Combined Authority, and he is totally aware of the emissions of this. He's totally aware of the emissions of tourism, hospitality and the creative sector, which is, you know, headed by things like the Film Office, etc. And I just think that this is premature. There isn't going to be a mayor next year. So what is the rush to get this signed by January? Let's get version 2. Let's get it right before we, and sending a signal to them to say, actually guys, we're not happy because Maldon's been given short shrift here. And I honestly believe it has, because this particular district is more reliant on tourism than pretty much any other, apart from perhaps Clacton and some other places. So I just think there is no need to rush. Let's not go half cock about it. Let's wait and get our point over. Thank you. And Tom is fully aware of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Durham. Chief Executive, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much, members, for the debate and the comments. Really helpful. And I think this document is a difficult one for members to understand its purpose, and where it originated and where it is now intended to arrive. Which that destination, we're talking about journeys a bit, that destination has changed somewhat with the postponement of the mayoral elections. So I think to some degree the urgency was because of the mayoral elections in May to get this supported, which is what we were looking for. But I think the reason I wanted to speak was just to try and put some context into what this document is and what it isn't. And it isn't a statutory document, and it isn't a strategy. What this document was intended or is intended for is to be handed to the mayoral candidates to give them an idea of these are some of the things in the region that are really important at a strategic infrastructure level. Big picture stuff, expensive stuff, where money will be devolved from central government to the mayor, the strategic authority, because we don't know who the mayor will be, and we don't even know what their interests and priorities will be. These are just suggestions from the North Essex councils as being priorities. And if we didn't give the mayoral candidates any steer, we don't know which direction they would go off in. So it was intended to give a mayoral candidate some steer around regional priorities that are important. So things like the Year 12 widening, which central government cancelled, mayors are the conduit to getting central government funding, and it was to put that back on the agenda as being really important to this area for the economy, for connectivity, and for growth. To bring that back to the table, the Harlow Hospital, really big infrastructure. Now we argued the case to have included in this document reference to St Peter's Hospital, which is very much, in its inception of what it might turn out to be. But we wanted to put a hook in there to represent Maldon in some sort of what is a big infrastructure project in Maldon, but in the big scheme regionally, compared with the Harlow Hospital, isn't as big. So, as Leander said earlier, that was a concession that we fought for. Now, it's fantastic hearing district councillors arguing for very district priorities, but this document isn't about those district priorities at this point in time. It's to give whoever the mayoral candidate is something really juicy to get the teeth into, that's important regionally, that will eventually, over the long term, 5-10 years, have that connection to more local areas through greater expansion of infrastructure or skills and economy. And I think the all-member session that we had where Councillor Burrell-Crook raised the tourism and as a major omission, Gwyn, he was very receptive of that, and that's why we followed on with that. And I think it's a really important thing, because that is a much more bigger picture, regional benefit that should be included at this point. So it's very much around having members say that as North Essex councils, we don't disagree with what's in there. We think there could be other stuff, and there's plenty of time for other stuff to be included. And that's why we brought it here to full council, to get that level of support. I don't think it's a commitment in any way to saying that these are the only things that we'll be focusing on over the next 1, 3, 5, 10 or 20 years. It's just getting that hook into whoever the new mayor is, that these are key priorities regionally that we generally support. There is a whole host of other things that we will be lobbying whichever mayor it is when they eventually get installed in post. So we're just trying to give that broader context to the document.
Thank you. I'm going to allow Councillor Fluker to speak because he hasn't spoken.
I'm sort of, I want to speak under item 13, so I won't touch on it here. But we seem to be getting to the stage of writing an election address for a mayoral candidate. I mean, if a mayoral candidate will come up with what they think is best for the Essex. They'll come up with that. I know this is only a steer, but it's up to everybody in this room, in the chamber, to make sure that when these mayoral candidates, and we've got a date for the election, they will stand or fall or be elected or not on what they want to do for the county, not what we tell them. I don't doubt that these aren't good things. It's disappointing. I think everything that's been mentioned in relation to Maldon. But I think it goes back to the old analogy of mine from about 5 years ago, that when we have when these new unitaries are formed, it won't be a case of what's a Thames barge. It'll be a case of where is Maldon? It's simple. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Dunn. We've had recorded vote. Is that seconded?
Yes.
Seconded by Councillor Morgan. Okay. So, Tara, did you catch that for recorded vote, please? Yeah, because we
there's clearly a certain amount of disquiet here, and I did. I wonder whether or not we should visit the recommendation and at this stage just note it rather than throw it out. If that's what.
Well, we have got a recommendation has been seconded, and the recorded vote's been asked for and seconded. So
yeah,
we are.
I'm just sort of thinking that might be a better compromise.
I did think about withdrawing from deferral, but I think the way that we're going now is probably better. Constitutionally, that's where we have to do it. Yeah. So Tara, sorry. So the recorded vote has been asked for.
Yes, Chairman, no problem at all.
Thank you very much indeed.
Do you want me to take that now, Chairman?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So members, you could just indicate for, against or abstain when I call your name, please. Starting with Councillor Bassinger.
For.
Councillor Bell.
Abstain.
Councillor Brown.
Against.
Councillor Burrell-Cook.
Abstain.
Councillor Dodsley.
Abstain.
Councillor Driver.
Abstain.
Councillor Durham.
Against.
Councillor Fittock.
For.
Councillor Fluker.
Against.
Councillor Hayward.
Against.
Councillor Hughes.
For.
Councillor Jennings.
Abstain.
Councillor Lagan.
Against, please, Tara.
Councillor Lay.
Abstain.
Councillor Laybourne.
Abstain.
Councillor Morgan.
Against.
Councillor Morley.
Against.
Councillor Pratt.
Against.
Councillor Siddle.
For.
Councillor Siddle Norman.
Abstain.
Was that abstain? Sorry. Yes. Thank you. Councillor Nick Spenceley.
Abstain.
Councillor Paula Spenceley.
Abstain.
Councillor Stamp.
Against.
Councillor Stevens.
Abstain.
Councillor Stilts.
Against.
Councillor Swindle.
She's not here, Tara.
He's not here, apologies for that. Councillor Thompson.
Against.
Councillor Whiffen.
Against.
So Chairman, the results of that are 4 for, 12 against, 11 abstentions.
Thank you very much. So that recommendation fails. Members, is any a member wish to submit a secondary recommendation? Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. I've sought the advice of the monitoring officer. We can. If no one, yeah, I'll see a motor to clarify that.
Yeah, where a recommendation it fails, that doesn't prevent somebody else coming forward with a new proposal. I mean, that's happening all the time.
So, Chairman, I'll go back to my proposal that we just note the report, Chairman. Thank you.
Well, Councillor Burrell-Cook, no, this council doesn't know reports.
We have actually dismissed that report. My proposition was we wait and see what comes back in version 2, because when we have bought more time, there won't be a mayoral candidate for another 2 years. There is no rush. Let's wait and see if we get what we want, and then we can vote properly.
Yeah, thank you. Just
I don't think it was rejected. It was not approved. That was the
proposal that it be approved.
What's the safest way of doing it? It's just that it's failed and it comes back to council. Then I think that's probably the safest route.
Yeah, I think technically it's not approved. There is space for another recommendation, but it's hard to know what that would be. It can be left like that. If there is no other recommendation proposal put forward, then it is not approved.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Barrell-Cook.
Thank you, Chair. My recommendation would that we defer this item until all the included elements come back in the report from Essex County Council and the officers to see what has been, or what can be included.
Basically, it's what Councillor Durham said, isn't it? So really, if members are happy, we could make that recommendation, and if that's seconded. Sorry, Councillor Spenceley.
Could I just add to that somehow that the paragraph on St Peter's isn't strong enough? It's very ambivalent.
But we can, if we go back onto that.
Well, can I note that before we? Yeah,
Absolutely.
because for me it doesn't give any kind of. I mean, you know, and we've won a mention, but it doesn't really. I mean, it just talks about a decaying building and services not being there, and looking at. We could go back to what the consultation said. That's one of the reasons why I can't support it at the moment. So
St Peter's is absolutely mission critical. We all want that. We know that. So, Councillor Barrell-Cook, could you rephrase that, restate that recommendation, please?
Restate the recommendation. Okay, so if the matter can be deferred until the points raised that require inclusion into the report go back to the ECC and officers, NEC, to look at the inclusion of items that have been raised in this, such as St Peter's, tourism and specific transport. And skills and training.
Yeah.
Well, Chairman, the whole point is that we want our representative on NEC to go back to NEC and say, please think again, please include what we have asked to be included. That's the simple answer.
Okay. Well, we've got Councillor Barrell-Cook, who has actually made a recommendation.
Excuse me, but you let Councillor Durham speak.
Yeah, but you don't talk over me in this chamber, please. Okay. What we do is we listen to what Councillor Barrell-Cook. We'll look at that. I will invite you to speak, but at the time when there's space for it. So, Councillor Barrell-Cook. So, members are clear with what Councillor Barrell-Cook has tabled. Councillor Siddle.
If you don't think that I fight for Maldon at every single opportunity, so I just want to make that point. No, I know, but I just want to. I want to make that point that I fight for Maldon at NAC, at LC, at the local government east, at the DCN. So I just want to make that point.
Okay, members, the point's made. We had a motion, we had a recommendation. That recommendation didn't pass. We have a second recommendation that's put forward. If that's seconded, we can go to the vote for that. If so, it's seconded. So Councillor Bowner seconded that. Okay, so we have that. Tara, are you clear in that second recommendation? Yeah, hang on, just making sure that Tara's clear.
Chairman, I thought that we're deferring it until the points raised that require inclusion go back to Essex County Council officers and the NEC, including St Peter's, tourism and specific transport, training and skills. I've got noted as well.
You happy with that, Councillor? Yeah. And some
Chairman, I don't think we can defer because we have refused that. So it's got to be a new recommendation asking to bring a new report to this council.
Yeah, we'll take out the word,
not
the phrase defer. A new report is
a new
more, and the
report
rest
is
of
required.
The content is the same. I think that's right. Okay, so we've got a recommendation.
I think technically it could be deferred because you're asking, Chairman, you're actually asking for a reconsideration, for the possibility of this being included. That might be rejected and this proposal might come back for reconsideration as it is.
I think that's quite confusing. I think that the chamber is actually bringing back a new report. I think is what the feel of the chamber. But thank you for the advice. So members, we could debate this all night. Members, please. Right, we've got a recommendation. Okay, that has been seconded. So those no recorded vote on this one.
Point of clarification.
Point of clarity. Yeah.
Tara mentioned Essex County Council. I think that part of the proposal needs to be modified.
Yeah, North Essex, is it? Yeah. North Essex, yeah. Okay. We're going to go for the vote now, Councillor Morgan. If that's
Right, sorry, are we?
We're not deferring it. That a new report
Right,
comes
so it's a new report.
or a
Fine.
revised report comes forward. Leander.
And I'm sorry, Chairman, but just in case it influences the monitoring officer's decision around the recommendation, so I'm not going to pretend I know the realms of the Constitution, etc. So the authority can, of course, go back and make recommendations for inclusion within this report. However, if other authorities have signed it off on the basis of the existing report, then it is unlikely that amends would be able to be included. I don't know how many authorities in the partnership have signed it off already, so I'm not sure if that potentially that changes the deferral or etc. Mr. Quelch.
I think you can defer, and I think that's a fair point. I think you can defer because a deferment is we haven't rejected the proposals, we just haven't approved them. And we haven't approved them because we'd like further feedback from the other councils, the NEC, on these other properties.
So we can use the word deferral.
So, because then if they say, well, I'm sorry, we can't do that, then it comes back as it is, and the council can either accept or reject.
Can you explain that to the chamber? Members, this is too important not to get right. So I want to make sure that we do get this right, and the determinations that we make are spot on. So I'm going to refer to the monitoring officer, please. I'm not going to have any more debate on the issue, just to the monitoring officer. Thank you.
I recognise some members think that it can't be deferred, and it's quite nuanced. I recognise that, what I'm about to say. But members have said that they would like the other authorities to consider some 3 aspects and then come back to this council. Now, they may come back and say we can't do that. That then means that they will resubmit potentially the priorities as they are. The council then will, if it's a deferment, will either say yes or no to that document. So I think deferment is correct here because you're wanting a feedback on the other points to see whether those should be included or not. Now, you may be satisfied with the response back as to why they haven't. And you may feel that that's good enough, and so that you will accept. Whereas if you reject now completely, there is still the 6-month rule. And so deferment, I think, is the right approach.
Right, only points of clarity will be taken.
This, Chairman,
do yours in a minute.
Chairman, let's get this in perspective. This was put to us to agree something to go to a mayoral candidate. There aren't going to be mayoral candidates in the next 2 years. So I accept totally what Mr. Quelch said. I'd never ever contradict Mr. Quelch. But we have got ourselves another 2 years to look at this and get it right. We do not need to do it right now.
No, I think
and it doesn't matter what the other authorities say, because if they produce the report, they're not giving it to anybody because there aren't any mayoral candidates.
Look, I think I'm actually going to stop the debate now because we are not going to have any more points. We've debated this robustly and in detail. We have an opinion from the monitoring officer, which I accept. I think it's the safest route for us to move this item of business forward because it is an important. No, Councillor Fluker, I'm sorry.
It's a point of clarity. I believe the monitoring officer may have misled the chamber.
Well, I don't believe the monitoring officer has, and under Rule 22, I'm going to make that decision.
Mr. Chairman, I tend to agree. I have to say.
I'll hear you, Councillor Morgan.
As I understand it, we've just voted that report should not go through. We cannot then surely go forward on a motion to actually defer it. It's now got.
It's a new motion.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. So what we're actually asking what we're really asking for is for them to come back with a new report, including those matters.
That's what Councillor Burrell Cook has asked. Because if we just leave it as no, That's it, the item is finished, we move on to the next agenda item. By putting it out for a further recommendation, which is seconded, that gives us exactly what everybody, I think, who's not in favour of it at this moment, what they want. So I think that's clear.
Point of clarity.
Go on then.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm sure the Monitors will agree with me that under the 6-month rule, that if we did make a decision, then of course it could return to the Chamber on the premise that there would be new information. So I think perhaps you'd like to confirm that it could return to the Chamber if we decide otherwise, under the 6-month rule, because there would be new information.
It could return to the Chamber under the 6 months rule with new information, with members actually motioning for that, and if officers determine that. So there is a pathway for that. So, okay, members, we have a recommendation that's been tabled to the Chamber. Because those in favour of those, raise your hands, please, for the recommendation. Can you help me count? Councillor Burrow-Cox, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't say 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25.
26.
26.
Right, so those, anybody against, please? And those who are abstaining, please. Councillor Siddle is one. Okay.
26-1.
26 for and 1 abstention, Tara. Thank you very, very much. I think that's too important for us to get wrong. We move along to agenda item 13, which is Devolution and Local Government Reorganisation update, which is found on pages 157 and 158. And I believe Councillor Siddle is going to introduce this, supported by Cheryl Hughes.
Thank you, Chair. So the statutory instruments to establish the combined authority will be implemented by the government in the new year and still be established in task with investing in growth, local priorities in the years prior to the election of the Mayor, including the government providing 1/3 of the annual value of the investment funds in 2026 and 27-28. This is around 13 million. So although devolution is not going ahead, the combined authority is still going ahead, and we are still working towards local government reorganisation, which you expect to hear from government in March time. The Greater Authority has appointed an interim chief exec, and government is providing funding to support the appointment of staff to lead in strategic areas. At Essex leaders and chief execs last week, I raised the lack of balance in representation, with only one district council representative from the north being appointed to the authority, despite there being more councils in the north of the county. These representatives will also have no voting rights, and there will also be one district council from the south of Essex. So the imbalance between the north and the south of the county is quite dramatic. I raised this with a few other of the councils from North Essex at Essex leaders. At the moment, there seems to be a computer says no attitude from from the authorities that are going to create the combined authority. At the moment, so at that meeting, there was no feedback from the unitaries and Essex. Whether that will change or not is another thing. The work streams continue with local government reorganisation, with these being formalised, and as part of this, terms of reference are being created. Structural change orders will be issued next year, and the suggested initial focus for those are the names of councils and the transitional member arrangements before the shadow elections, joint committees which will prepare for the transition and prepare an implementation plan. There are different proposals in terms of representation at those joint committees. Again, at last week's meeting, it was proposed that if there were unitaries made of 3 authorities, it would involve 3 from Essex in terms of representatives and 1 from each district. I worked with Chelmsford in terms of that particular thing. Our view was that if there was the model where it was 5 unitaries with 3 councils, it should have 3 representatives from Essex and 3 from each council, making sure that it was far more balanced, and like councils like Maldon could have political balance in terms of the representation. Arrangements for 2027 will also be the focus, and the implementation teams and principles for the implementations of the local government organisation will be the focus of those joint committees as they're formed from the strategy orders. I'll now hand over to Ms Hughes to add to the report.
Good evening, Ms Hughes.
I don't have too much to add to the report. The paper itself is just an update on the activity that's been going on supporting devolution and the local government reorganisation. And it's been flagged in the chamber already, but since the paper was published on the 3rd of December, the government's alerted us to the fact that they're minded to delay the mayoral strategic authority elections until May 2028.
Thank you very much. So we have a recommendation, and the recommendation is that the council notes the current update of devolution and LGR and possible resource implications as the activity to progress LGR now develops. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Durham. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Durham.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, it's me, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, Chairman, we all know it's nothing against Councillor Siddle, but it is a very fast-moving thing, and as Councillor Stamp has alluded, I think that has changed because it was recognised, of course, because there are 2 unitaries in the south, it would be disproportionate. So I think the proposal coming forward will be 2 district representatives still not voting from the north. I also understand that certainly the leader of Essex County Council is pushing for 50% of the funding rather than just a third, because that some of the other Magnificent 7 in the priority, the authorities in the priority programme got 50%. So we'll wait and see what government decide. On that subject, all the leaders of those 7 met the minister today, and I've got a emergency PLT at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, so I don't know what's going to come out of that. But as I say, things might have changed yet again. We just don't know. But as I said, things change within every 24 hours at the moment.
Yep. Thank you very much for the update. Councillor Stamp.
Mine is really a question on process. I'm chair of the LGR working group, and I haven't been updated on what has just been said at this council. I've also been asked to postpone the next meeting because of lack of business. It concerns me slightly that as the chair of this working group, A, I don't know about it, and B, yes, I have said no, I'm not prepared to cancel the meeting, because even if it's a brief update, I think it's important that it comes through the working group, that we know what's going on. So I would actually ask with respect that if this sort of information is coming from you, you've written a report or whoever, that it does come at least to the leader, the chair of the working groups. It's important we are kept informed on this information, because if I had been, I would have most probably said to you at council on Tuesday, that's possibly changing. It's a matter of working together. We've already agreed that it's 5 here, and I've made it quite clear that while I'm here, I will do what I need to do under the 5 possible unitaries here. And I think it's a little bit disrespectful that I've been missed out. That's just a point of clarity.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. Leader, do you want to come back with any comment on that?
So there was no missing out. Yeah, this week has been quite a busy week. This week has been a very busy week. I didn't get an opportunity to talk to the Chief Exec until Wednesday. And that was the time that I gave him an update. So I apologise that you feel that you haven't kept informed, but it's just one of those things in terms of, different things happening, different meetings, and I've not had an awful lot of time. And in terms of updating you, I will try to do that more often if something like this happens in the future.
Thank you very much indeed. Any other member? Councillor Fluker.
I really just wanted to ask the leader if he felt as though he was being updated in a timely manner, because I was in the Palace of Westminster last week. I think Councillor Durham knows, and I can't remember, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and I was told then that the mayoral elections in Essex weren't going to take place. I think the following day the BBC Essex announced that as a rumour, and then it was confirmed. So I did wonder whether or not we are being properly informed by our masters, I guess, Essex County Council.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I think you should, yeah.
So I had no information from the ministry on Friday morning, and we didn't get any information from the ministry until near lunchtime.
Lovely, thank you very much indeed. Councillor, just once more.
The minister only contacted the leader of the three upper tier authorities on Wednesday, I believe, because I was called to an emergency meeting. When was North West Planning? Wednesday. So yeah, to be brief, because I couldn't attend it because of North West Planning, but nobody knew right up until that day.
Thank you very much. Members, we have a report which has been seconded for noting. Can I agree that by assent? Thank you very much indeed. We move on to agenda item 14, which is the consultation response for local government reorganisation found on pages 159 to 172. And Ms Hughes, again, please present the report. Thank you.
So, based on previous discussions around local government reorganisation and also a member devolution and LGR working group meeting that was held on the 27th of November, this is a draft response on behalf of Maldon District Council to the government consultation for member review and approval. The consultation is, of course, open to anyone to individually respond as well, and we encourage people to put forward their views. The web link for this is in the covering report of the section 3.4 with a closing date of the 11th of January.
Thank you very much indeed, Ms Hughes. So we have two recommendations to support the report. Excuse me. Little 1, that the council considers any changes to the draft consultation response at Appendix 1, and little 2, that the council approves the draft consultation response at Appendix 1, subject to any changes agreed under little 1. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Nick Spenceley. Members, any comments? Councillor Morgan, thank you. Yeah, is that seconded? Okay. Record a vote, Tara, please. Councillor Morgan, and seconded by Councillor Durham.
Thank you, Chairman.
I'm going to take both together, Tara. So, anybody else wish to speak? Thank you, Tara. Please go ahead and take the vote. Oh, Councillor Stamp, sorry.
I know this might be strange question, but why do we need a recorded vote on a and Ms Hughes has just said, if you have a different vote, this council, and believe me, you know I don't support the 5, I support the 3, possibly even the 2. I would have gone for 2 because I'm a little bit like that. But why do we need a recorded vote when it would be suicide? Not it would be awful. No, there's a reason for that. Don't laugh. There's a reason, and I do apologise for saying that. It would be awful if we didn't then turn round and do this as in what it says, that we agree wholeheartedly with it, because the council resolved to do it. And anyway, it's only a point to make, because I don't see why we need a recorded vote.
The Constitution allows members to make a request for a recorded vote, and if it's seconded, that is the will, and we have to follow the consultation, so we have to undertake a recorded vote unless they're withdrawn. So, Tara, could you please take the vote? Please take the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members. If you can indicate for or against your abstain, please, when I call your name. Starting with Councillor Bassinger, please.
For.
Councillor Bell.
For.
Councillor Bound.
Abstain.
Councillor Burrell-Cook.
Abstain.
Councillor Dodsley.
For.
Councillor Driver.
For.
Councillor Durham.
Against.
Was that against? Sorry, Chairman.
That was against, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Fittock.
For.
Councillor Fleeker.
Against.
Councillor Hayward.
For.
Councillor Hughes.
For.
Councillor Jennings.
For.
Councillor Laggins.
4, please, Tara.
Councillor Lay.
For.
Councillor Councillor Laybourne,
Abstain.
Councillor Morgan,
Abstain.
Councillor Morley,
Abstain.
Councillor Pratt,
Abstain.
Councillor Siddle,
For.
Councillor Siddle Norman,
For.
Councillor Nick Spenceley,
For.
Councillor Paula Spenceley,
For.
Councillor Stamp. Can I just leave James or a So abstain, Chairman.
She hasn't, Councillor Stamp's yet to reply.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm going to do something I never do.
You
I'm going to abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stevens,
For.
Councillor Stilts,
For.
Councillor Thompson,
Abstain.
Councillor Whiffen.
Abstain.
Thank you, Chairman. The results of that are 16 for, 2 against and 9 abstentions.
Thank you very much, Tara. That motion passes. Members, we move on to agenda item 15, which is the schedule of meetings in 2026-2027, which are found on pages 173. I don't think I need to do any more than just table this. Any member have any comments? We agree by consent? Great, thank you very much. That was much easier than I thought. We move to agenda item 16, please. This is questions to the Leader of the Council in accordance with Procedure Rule 13M. Members, does any member, Councillor Stamp, Councillor Fluker?
Thank you, Chairman. I have given a copy of this question to yourself and the CEO. I have one with your name on it, but you were sitting at the top table and I couldn't be bothered to walk up there. So I'm just going to actually ask this question to you. Can you work with the Chief Executive Officer to look out for an email coming from Deborah Stewart-Angus, the Independent Panel Chair of the Essex Safeguarding Adults Board, ESAB, please? They are highly effective in delivering. If people don't know who they are and what they do a very, very good job, and I'll just say a couple of things. They're highly effective in delivering their statutory duties. They have to do this. It's now threatened due to a shortfall of funding. And the shortfall of funding actually comes from the PFCC. It's Mr. Hurst. They've now decided they can't afford to contribute. They don't contribute a lot anyway. So the Safeguarding Adult Board helps to safeguard adults with care and support. We already contribute to this as a council. You maybe don't know. We contribute at the moment from district councils at £1,130 each, which everybody's really grateful for. The ESAB commands funding and or contributions for non-pecuniary resources under Section 43 of the Care Act. And there is no national formula for funding. So that means that Thurrock and Southend get different funding. Some get 40p, some get 5p per person, which is absolutely ludicrous. So presently districts and borough councils contribute £1,130 each. Total funding from councils is £13,560. The Essex Safeguarding Board, Adult Board, have actually asked for funding over the next 3 years. 26 to 27 can they request. This is in total, not from us, so please don't anybody panic. 19,717. The following year, 20,309. The following year after that, 20,918. So the total they want is 60,000 over 944. Now, I've been a member of PAF and for 5 years and they've never put their money up. They desperately need somebody or they will lose a member of staff. They have 2,500 calls every week for referrals for this Essex alone. So I'm asking this council, or however you can go forward, if you bring a motion or I have to do a motion, I don't mind, if we would consider funding some additional money. This is going to be going to all district councils to actually ask. The PFCC, due to some pressure put on them last minute, said they would contribute £10,000, but they're saying that they haven't got the money. And I think that's really bad because these do an excellent. I've got a huge pack, members. If anybody wants to look at the statistics of what they deliver and the age group for people in our district and how they actually what's the word, benefit from it. So that's my question to you. Would you be able to work with the chief exec and whoever to try and look at us getting, and Mr. Ben, I forgot to include him, if he could do it as well. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Stamp.
Yeah, I'm sure that we can look at this, and I'm sure if this request for funding comes forward, like the citizens' advice, we do it through the finance working group, and then it goes to strategy and resources, and and it can be approved that way. If we're funding already, we can look at our existing funding and what the requirements are, and if it follows that route, it's something that seems worthwhile in supporting.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Councillor Fluker, your question, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I certainly think you're more tolerant than Lindsay Hoyle over that last question. But anyway, Chairman, if we can, I just wanted to ask the question of the Leader in relation to the role of members in Planning Committee appeals. Chairman, there has been quite a few of these recently, particularly at Glebe Meadow and land adjacent to Homefield in Southminster, where members have had to give evidence at the appeals. Now, I know, Leader, tonight we've agreed the protocol, and I'm delighted we have, because we can't revisit it for 6 months, and I think there's some excellent things in there that's going to support members. But my question really is, the importance of members giving evidence and speaking at these hearings is becoming more and more and more important. And it seems to me that Councillor Fittock and myself tend to do them. I'm sure you'll agree with me that I think members should turn up at these hearings to find out exactly how they work, how members need to present themselves, and what they can actually say and not say. And generally speaking, it's subjective subjective matters that members have refused planning applications on. And I think genuinely the inspectors are quite keen to hear the view, but I think we really do need to include some training, Chairman, and I really, really do think that members should be encouraged to come to the hearings to see how they actually work. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter.
Having introduced the protocol and members having to take that role, I think it would be really important that we get in paths to do some training. I think that would be the most appropriate route. So that we're giving the right skills, knowledge and abilities in addition to the statutory training. I think it's going to be even more important when we go down to one planning committee, because we will then be looking at a resources who will be put in this position more often, I think. So I agree wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Any other questions from the chamber? No, we move on to agenda item 17, which is any other items of business that the chairman decides are urgent. There is one item of urgent business which have agreed to be brought forward for consideration to avoid delay in planned works. The update was circulated in a supplementary pack that was distributed on Tuesday. So 17A, I'd like to point out it's on pages 3 to 5, and I'd like the 151 officer please to present the report. Mr. Ben, Jay.
Thank you, Chair. I wonder if it would be appropriate to invite Sue Green to present this as from the operational perspective. I'm happy to comment on the financial aspects of that. That's
it's your report, so you can ask Ms. Green. Yeah, Ms. Green. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I first say thank you for allowing this item to come forward. As you've mentioned, this is a number of pieces of work that are being undertaken to a number of our roadways and car parks at the moment. What has happened is, as the ground's been opened up, there have been some unforeseen structural works that are required. And the amount of work that is required means the supplementary estimate is 142,000. And that means that it is above the normal delegation arrangements for the Strategy and Resource Committee. It does need to be approved by Council. The reason for bringing it as a matter of urgency is to enable that work to continue and not to create any further delays with the work. As the report sets out, a large cost is to do with the structural, unforeseen structural works. There's also increased material costs from when the original budget was permitted. So members very happy to take any questions, and we would ask that that is considered this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Green. Do the recommendation, Councillor Fluker?
I mean, this, you know, we started off with a budget of 288 and it's almost doubled. I mean, you know, I've been involved in the construction industry a long time. I mean, my first question is this additional money, £142,000, I understand the urgency of this and you can't stop it and you can't go down the procurement route. But, I mean, hopefully the officers will be able to answer positively to the question that we've actually quantified these costs, additional costs, by a quantity surveyor who could do that work quickly. But my overarching question is that, you know, we've had problems with these car parks for a long time. And we know we know there's issues with the foundations of them. So can the officers reassure me that a soil search was done? In other words, ground search was done, or survey was done, and if it wasn't, why it wasn't done?
Thank you, Ms Green.
Thank you, members. This work was originally planned, as members will be aware, a good 18 months ago, and as a result, a big chunk of this is just a general increase in the costs. My understanding is that there was a survey done. However, it wasn't until the ground was actually opened up that the extent of the issue became identified.
Thank you. I don't often comment, but I would like to, if that's okay. I'm very perplexed at this request for funding, because when you let a contract out and the contractor goes and undertakes the surveys, gets his base data and looks at all of the information to be able to submit a price, and there's always a contingency within that price. This seems to me a huge amount of money, and it's a trend that keeps on arising. Look at the amphitheatre. We let something out and all of a sudden we get hit with a huge sum of money that we've got to do to fix it. So I'm not very happy about the whole situation. I walked the Prom access road the other day, which work doesn't seem to have started upon, although the report alludes to that it has. There's a couple of cracks in it. You could hot fill those. I'm no structural engineer, I'm no quantity surveyor, I'm not in construction myself, but I have a great reluctance just to sit and absorb this type of cost from a contract that should have been let properly. So that's my views on the situation. They're a comment, they're more than anything else. Councillor Fittick next, and then Councillor Stamp. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I tend to agree with Councillor Fluke on this and yourself. I mean, it's disappointing. I was looking back at where the funding come from. I think it came from South East Parky Partnership Joint Committee back in March 2023. So here we are 2.5 years later with a project that's not been implemented and a 50% uplift in cost. From the report, it's not very clear to me what the reason for this is. I mean, it mentions potentially differences in the ground surface, it mentions procurement difficulties. I would personally like to see a more detailed breakdown of cost on these things, because at the end of the day, it's £142,000. In a few months, we'll be increasing the council tax probably by £10 or £11 a year. This is equivalent to £5 per household, which would be half the council tax increase. So I do think it's incumbent on us to have reports that clearly break down the reasons why these costs have escalated so much, so that we can make properly informed decisions. Now, I'm 110% behind investing in the district and investing for the future beyond LGR, but I just think that the quality of the detail that we get given, I just don't find it acceptable. I'll be honest. I'd like to see a much more detailed breakdown. If it's going to extend the life of the asset, well, okay, on what basis? If we're going to resurface it and it's going to crack up, how long would it last? If we're going to completely strip it out and do it again, how long will that last? That's how I'd normally approach a business case. You know, not on the back of a cigarette packet, which it seems to be to me. So I'm struggling with this one, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Stamp.
Yeah, and finally, I did speak to the officer and I said exactly the same sort of thing. Why have you made a mistake on it, on the whatever Councillor Fluke has said and Councillor Fittick? And they assured me that it wasn't just the material costs and the inflation, it was always and also some of the equipment they use or something. I presume the higher costs have gone up. But Chairman, before we move to it, I would like to make an apology to everybody in this room and the residents listening, because I think I used an expletive when I realised I'd said something that was unsuitable and wasn't meant regarding a situation here. So I'd like to apologise to everybody and anybody listening at home when I used that word. It was a natural reaction because I was very upset and angry at myself for not being so much more thoughtful of the circumstances that we're all aware of. So please accept my apologies.
Thank you, Councillor Driver.
It's an observation, really. I think that actually in situations where there are likely to be groundworks involved in a project, we really need to make sure that we are as clear as we can be about potential overruns in costs, because groundworks can generate enormous costs, which is what this one is doing. So it seems to me we're in a position where we probably need to do this and have to do it, but it would have been better if we had at least been alerted to the danger. It's like the amphitheatre. As soon as you have a project which involves significant groundworks, they can result in big costs. And I think we need to be alerted to it when we walk into these things. Thank you.
Councillor Morley.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if they've already quoted for these things, isn't it tough on their part?
What's how it normally works?
You know, it's up to the contractor to have done the searches, surely. You know, same with any of us.
They should do. Councillor Bowen.
I just feel we've just been presented with figures here, but we can't substantiate it as to how on earth we've arrived at these extra amounts of money. I feel that it should have been broken down so we can analyse it, or not analyse it, but sort of see where on earth, because I can't understand it was sort of, one of them is nearly doubled, and I don't see what's the point of people quoting and then giving the contract and they come back later and just find a reason to blow it out the water.
Ms Green or Mr J, do you have any comments to make on that before I move to the recommendation? Chief Exec, yep.
Thank you, Chairman, and again, thank you. Experience of managing highways repairs is absolutely the fact that you don't know what's underneath the top surface until you start getting into it. And
members, thank you.
And this isn't uncommon on highways work. I will put that out there. This isn't uncommon. Now, I think what's conspired to exaggerate these increases is, which I think I'm keen to understand, is the time lapse as well, because there's been, and we all know that there's been significant increases in material costs, etc. So that is a significant part of the increase. But when you do start to take off, and there's 4 layers to a highway. Once you get under the top layer, you have to make sure that the subsoil and the subsurface is really solid. And if it's not, the benefits are, and I think one of the members mentioned it, might be Councillor Fittick, is that whilst this is an increase in cost, it will significantly extend the life of the asset, as opposed to, and highway maintenance, as opposed to just doing a resurface, which would probably only extend the life of the asset for 3 to 5 years. Significant resurfacing with subsoil should extend the life of that asset to 10 to 15 years. So whilst it's an initial big increase in outlay, it should be a value for money exercise. But I do think that it's been exaggerated, not exaggerated, it's been magnified by the time it's taken from the initial estimates, if that was 2-3 years ago, to now. We all know the increases in inflation and material costs. So it is unfortunate, and I think there's a real learning exercise here around how we get estimates. And contractors don't suck up those types of costs. They come back to you and say, I can just resurface the top, and they'll only guarantee it for 2-3 years, and that's our choice. We could say that we will just resurface the top layer of tarmac, but that will give us a far inferior product ultimately. So just to give a little bit of technical background to that, I think officers could supply the detailed breakdown of the costs. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, CEO. I think that one of the points that was made is that we would have been good to have the detail. The devil is in the detail. And highway works. Some of this is not highway. Doesn't have that amount of traffic, and other parts of it definitely do. And I did work on the M6 upgrade, junction 16 to 19, Big Kia building road, so I know the complexities of that. But a contract, if you let a contract properly, you build a contingency in. And I've worked on a contract where a contractor failed to deliver what was agreed, and he was faced with £100,000 shortfall that he had to make up. So it's complicated. We've got Councillor Stevens, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think what I really struggle with is sort of there isn't a choice here, is there really? The council gives approval for this investment, or what? Or the car park falls off the side of into the river. I don't know what the alternative is, and I don't like that being pushed into a corner. Now, we've just heard that there is an alternative, which would be to, whatever the expression was, fill some potholes or something, but I'm not seeing those figures on the table that I could choose that. And when I don't think we're therefore able to vote for one or the other, it's sort of like it or lump it, and that's what I'm struggling with. Thank you.
Same here. Councillor Fluker.
I mean, look, we've got to vote this through whether we like it or not. But I mean, at the end of the day, my first question, I've already emailed the chief about having a look at this, and I'm sure you will. But, you know, there should have been a JTC or equivalent contract in this. And I think that a lot of weight's been given to the fact that the materials have gone up in price. Well, if they'd gone up in price, then my first question would be, why did the contractor start the works if he knew his materials have gone up in cost? And that's before he opens the ground up. So there's clearly something not quite right there. And I still say, you know, £500 for £500 for a borehole, Chairman, Chief Executive, £500 for the borehole and the soil search, we'd all be sitting in there an hour ago. So all it is.
No, thank you. Councillor Siddle Norman.
Having been in business myself and in quite large amounts, I quite think that it's they're very lucky that it's the council that they're dealing with, because in business they'd say, well, get lost. You should have put that into the original quote. I mean, I can't understand that this sort of thing can happen. I mean, I have to say, I can tell you all, we lost our business because we put in a huge amount of ducting into a factory in Grays, costing us £60,000. And Mrs Thatcher put the interest rates up. They said, sorry, can't pay you. For 9 months, we went out of business. But however, we had to take that responsibility. And I'm really quite concerned that, in fact, that they should have realised, they should have put that into the original quote, that in fact that it could happen, that prices would go up, and that we then know as a council what's going to happen. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think there's some really good points. So, and we do have a recommendation made. I just need to read this through. And the recommendation is that the council gives approval for the investment of £142,000 for additional remedial works to the assets concerned in order to ensure that the subsequent resurfacing works are undertaken in a way that maximises the life of the new surface. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pratt. Members, we go to the vote. So those, do you want to speak? Do we agree by anybody? Not, I know we have to, but also I don't agree with it, so I want that recorded as well. Thank you. So members, that passes, so that we can get that done, and that should last us another 30 years, hopefully. So we move on. My apologies for my arthritis in my thumb. So members, it's the closure of the meeting, which you'll all be very pleased about. Members, can I just say a heartfelt thank you for the support you've given me as chair this year. It's Christmas time. There's no need to be afraid. So, I've got to get one in, haven't I? Are you going to drive home for Christmas? That's good. Look after yourselves. Look after the people that you love, and have a well-earned rest when it comes. I close the meeting at 20:33.